Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Cherry Bomb, where we are delving into the menopause. Yes, such a massive subject, but it correlates to quite a lot of things that are going on at around the age of 44. Did you know that women reach their peak earning potential at 44? Men, not until 11 years later at 55. And I was reading an article the other day that was about female doctors actually stopping working around that age because of the menopause and because of the stigma of even mentioning menopause and the fact that they might need some extra accommodations. And I was realizing that we don't really talk about this very much because there's such a range of menopausal experiences. So I can't wait to talk about this with you guys. I'm Tatum Durock.
I'm Dalila Ali Raja.
I'm Gloria Bigelow.
Nikki Castor.
Bethany Landing.
So speaking of the range of experience, like where are we with the menopause? Are we kind of thinking of it as a far off distant thing? Is it way in the past? Are we in perimenopause?
Being the elder, I'm the elder of this group. I'm in peri. It's a weird thing, and I feel like my mother has passed now, but I feel like I really wanted to tell her that I might understand her better now than I did before, because I understand some things that were happening with her. You know what I mean? Yeah, I get it.
I'm not there yet. I haven't had symptoms, and I do the same thing like with my mom. It's interesting. I remember her going through the process, and it was not fun for me. Like I was going through puberty at the same time she was going through like teenage years. It was not a fun hormonal time in the house. So like I have like discomfort around approaching that part of life. I thank God every month for my period. Seriously.
So, did you know that 25% of women have zero menopausal symptoms? Zero. They literally.
How many?
But I hope I'm a bitch in that category.
Oh,
sorry.
That would be so great.
Yeah. So I mean, you're in with a good chance of falling into that. You know, 1 in 4 is not bad. Where are you at with it?
So I went into very early menopause and had no idea what was happening. So I went into menopause. I was perimenopause at probably 38, 39, but just didn't know it. And at one point I went to my doctor and I said, I'm like sweating off my makeup in the morning and I don't know what that's about. She's like, oh, you might be perimenopause. When's the last time you had a period? And I looked at her and I was like, I don't know. She said, well, what do you mean? I was like, I literally have no idea. It could have been 6 months, could have been 8 months, could have been 3. I don't know. I don't remember, which is another symptom. But anyway, so we did the blood work and checked. She's like, no, you're not in perimenopause, honey. You're like in menopause, like full on, like in menopause. And by that time I was probably like 40. So yeah, it just hit really early.
Did they offer you any HRT?
Yes, but I said I didn't want to have any.
What does HRT stand for?
Hormone replacement therapy.
So once I picked my face up off of the floor, because at first I was like so upset and distraught, and I was like, I'm just going to be an old raisin. I'm going to be an old raisin. I just had all these things that I was telling myself. And I started doing some research and found some kind of like holistic approaches to things, and found some like wild yam creams and how I can, help myself with my diet and stuff. And really like, I went from like 7 to 9 hot flashes a day to maybe like 1.5.
Oh, awesome. What are you using? Or I guess we can put it in the links maybe. I just think it's interesting.
Everybody's different. Everybody's body is different. But what ended up working for me was just like wild yam cream that I just put on my body once a day. And it literally took them down from like 7 to 9 hot flashes to like 1 or 2. If I have spicy food or, alcohol, like another, because those are things that cause them as well. But
alcohol does for me too. And anyone who knows me certainly knows I like alcohol. So I refuse to stop drinking just because of the hot flashes.
I don't think
No, I don't think I should either. I do, so there's black coash. Um, so I do that. But the thing that I really hated when I first started going through peri was the night sweats, because I love my sleep, love my sleep. And I was I was just angry all night long, angry because I was like throwing off the covers. I had the fan blowing on me and I just needed to have the fan. And then it would finally go away 10 minutes later, and then all the covers back on, and then maybe I could fall back to sleep for an hour, and then all over again, just repeat all night long, on repeat, and I would wake up furious. I was furious at night, but I woke up equally furious because I was like, this is some fucking bullshit. What the? I was just so angry. And I talked to T about it because I knew she had gone through it already. And I was like, what the, how do you go, how did you do this? Because she would tell me about it, but it's one of those things that's sort of impossible in a way to understand until you've really felt hot flashes. And how it just overcomes your whole body, and just like you're suddenly covered in sweat all over, and it's so weird and gross. And I hate to sweat. That's why I refuse to work out, because I don't like to sweat. I think it's weird and gross, and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to sweat or anything. So me sweating, really, really uncomfortable. So I didn't like it.
So can I just, like, Bethany's need for a good night's sleep is like not to be underestimated. Bethany has bought a Tempur-Pedic mattress topper for a hotel room. Yes, like she does not mess around. I've been in a hotel room with her, woken up in the morning, and she wasn't there. And I was like, what happened to Bethany? Like we all went to bed at the same time. Like, did she meet someone? Did she hook up? Like, how did
In the middle of the night I went out and met someone?
Yeah, I was like, what? And no, somebody in the room, there was a couple of us in there, but somebody was snoring.
Was it the family?
And she went and just got another hotel room. Like she does not suffer with like any kind of interruption.
You said, fuck this shit, I'm gonna leave.
I did. I was like, there was two bitches. I think there were 5 of us in the room. 2 beds, and somebody might have been on a cot or something. At least 2 of those bitches were snoring. I was like, no. I went downstairs to the front desk. I was like, I need another room. And they're like, is there something wrong with your room? I was like, yeah, 2 snoring bitches in there, and I can't sleep. So the guy was like, all right. So it's like 2 in the morning, and that I paid for another hotel room just to sleep until 9 o'clock the next morning.
With Bethany on the sleeping things. I sleep is like my gold. I love it.
Yeah.
I get and I'm just like,
Oh, me too. I'm so particular. Like I need to have the right pillow, the right kind of mattress thing. I wear, night blinders. I can't have too much light. It can't be silent. I have to have white noise. I can't have no ticking clock noises. I have to take Maya's collar off because I can't hear the tinkling of her collar when she comes in and out of the room. It's a lot.
And I think this is the thing
How did you
about
ever live with anybody?
They have to adapt to me. Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I find about menopause is it often seems to attack the things that make us, like either our personality or our sleep or the things that we really value or our, or our libido. Like sometimes it feels like a really personal like attack on like.
What was your experience, T?
Oh, well, I've had 3 menopauses. Yeah. So I kind of feel like, I have a PhD in menopause at this point. My first one was chemotherapy induced. And my second one was when I had my ovaries actually removed, which was brutal because there was a lot of, for a long time, doctors thought that once you were kind of through reproduction era of your life, your ovaries were worthless. Well, actually they switch from a reproductive function to a maintenance function. So they're still producing, it's just at far, far lower levels. And those levels protect your heart, they protect, you know, your brain neurologically. There's like a lot that's still ticking with your ovaries, but not when your ovaries are removed. So that is like absolutely devastatingly brutal. You get no maintenance. Got pregnant, which sounds kind of crazy without having ovaries, but amazingly they can do that. So I got put on a ton of hormones, and then I lost the pregnancy and went from pregnant into postmenopause, which is not a slide ever found in nature. So I have had the range of hot flashes. I've had kind of a range of experiences. And I've also had the experience of going back on hormones for that brief time that I was getting pregnant. So I could tell what I was missing out on, you know, because I think a lot of the time people go, oh, well, it's because I'm getting older, right? Like, oh, I'm getting tired, I'm not as interested in sex, or, you know, I'm a bit more irritable, or I say, Gloria Delila, Bethany, Nikki. You know what I mean? And you start to turn into your grandma. You don't realize that that's actually, you know, hormones. That's not necessarily age. So for me, the first time round, it really, really impacted my vocabulary, and I developed almost a stutter. And sometimes that still comes back. And that was like the biggest thing to my personal confidence, was I was used to talking. And I would just stare and I couldn't remember basic words like like, you know, I was teaching a class and I was having to go extend your fingers, you know, because I'm like, there's this long thing, it's attached to your body, and I could not remember it. So I felt like that to me was the really, really personal part that I felt like it took part of my, kind of my personality and my soul. So yeah, what about you, Nikki?
You know, it's kind of like Bethany with her preparation for going to a hotel room or anywhere for sleeping. You know, the hormones are governed by the endocrine system. So the pituitary hypothalamus axis actually governs the endocrine system, which includes the thyroid, parathyroid, adrenals, pancreas, which affect our hormones and our mood, our energy, our sexual energy. So the best preparation is to love on that and restore balance, because operating in chronic stress imbalances the endocrine system and depletes and affects the organs, the energy, the mood. So I actually work with a lot of clients that enjoy their their hormone replacement, and at the same time want to know what they can do for themselves holistically to take care of the endocrine system, which includes the hormones. So, I mean, I do the best I can to love on that regularly, and definitely diet is included. What were you going to say, Go?
I was going to ask, sorry, go.
I think, you know, once I realized what was happening and once I did a lot of research, I feel like I stopped my panic, because part of the panic was you don't see a lot of literature about menopause for people who are like in their early 40s or in their late 30s. Like that was sorry, that's a dog barking. Part of it, the stress was like not knowing what the information was and feeling like, well, I'm not 55, I'm not 60. Where's the information for me? So once I literally had a book that I got, and I just started finding as much information and just trying to figure out, okay, what was going to be my plan, since I couldn't find what is the plan for menopause when you're 39, 40, what's that plan? So once I started, you know, this is part of once I find a system, like I was like, okay, let me find all these facts and let me gather all the information and make a system. And once I was able to do that, I felt more in control of it and less stressed by things. So now I don't feel stressed by it. Now I'm kind of like, oh, it is what it is. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah. Nikki, you said that you weren't there yet, right? Do you have any like fears or ideas or thoughts about it for yourself, anticipating the experience once you have it?
Did you just say my name?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I don't. I have an acceptance that it's part of the process, right? It's part of the process. So, you know, I'll go through it with as much grace as I can. But like I said, I everything that you've also shared, I see the science behind it. Like even the voice of being able, like losing the voice or losing the memory, whether it's cognitive function, memory, intuition, creativity. Your thyroid and parathyroid are right where the throat chakra is. So of course, the voice is related to that. So the direct link, everything works better together. So if there is like a cut off or it feels fragmented or separated, you're going to feel that separation within your mind body communication, right? So no, I feel like I'm going to do the best I can going through it. I'm open to whatever feels best. There's definitely sound will sync in the rhythm with the cosmic universe. Certain mantras stimulate the endocrine system, restoring balance for your nervous system, supporting optimal health and healing. And of course, we're all under stressors. So the more that I can influence myself to feel better, I'm open for hormonal replacement if that's necessary. Like I'm open to whatever is best. I agree. Everybody's experiences are different and vary, but I just do the best I can and accept that it's part of the process and like embrace the womanhood that it's just like, it is what it is and I'll own it, you know?
You know, when you say it's part of the process, I was teaching like health, sex education to these kids, you know, and we talked about puberty a lot, right? We talked about what happens in puberty, and we looked at their ovaries and say like, this is it, you know, the hormones, and we talk about all of that stuff. And we literally have a class to teach kids about like what their bodies are doing, you know, and I was teaching the girl students at my school, and it's like, okay, so puberty, expect this change, all of these things. And as I was going through this, and I was like, where is this for us? Like, where is the person that's going to come in and be like, okay, we're going to make that, some stuff's going to happen, and let me tell you why it's happening. Let me tell you what it is that's happening and how you can deal with it. Just like I was talking to my students about making sure they get sleep at night. Like, that's something that is important in menopause. You're like, you need to make sure you get sleep at night. You might feel moody. I was saying to my kids, you might feel moody. You might feel like your moods fluctuate up and down. And it's the same kind of thing. So that kind of thing I felt like would have been so helpful and so necessary, you know, at the beginning of this process, which is why I was just like collecting information in my little book about like, okay.
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody else decide to do the hormone replacement? Like, what's that experience if you did? I'm just wondering. I'm gathering information.
Well, I was going to mention that because I talked about it. So the reason I maybe my doctor mentioned this too, is that so I went off birth control after I'd been on birth control since my late teens, and I had been on it for many, 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 many years, and I went off of it. So once I got that out of my system, I immediately went into sort of a premenopausal state. And then I was in it for like 8 months. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, my period started again. And I was like, what is happening? I just thought, this is so weird. And so I had just gone through this point where I went to my doctor and I was like, okay, I'm doing hormone replacement. I was like, the whole idea of going off the pill was the fact that I didn't want any more hormones.
Sure.
So, and I was like, so like, solid. I was like, no more hormones. I was getting them out of my system. No. And then I was so suffering with the hot flashes after 8 months that I was like, I'm doing hormone replacement. And of course, I threatened my body with hormone replacement, and it started periods again. So, Dalila, my advice to you, threaten your body with something that you told it you weren't going to do, and something happened for me. But it's really weird. I went through another period of time where they came back. They went away another like 6 months, a couple of them back away for 8 months. Now they're back again, but I think they're back again because I'm having sex again.
Healthy.
Yeah, something's happening there. I don't know. Maybe that's, I
think
think that's totally made up.
Body, they're like, no, we want that DNA to keep going. We're gonna give you.
I think that's totally made up. I don't even know if that's a thing. But anyway, so go ahead. That was my experience on hormone replacement.
What about you, T?
Well, I was going to say, like, you were talking about like why we don't talk about this. And I was wondering if it was because I remember my mum talking about other women going, a bit dramatic, aren't they? And I think there's something about, like, if you're one of the people that either doesn't get anything or you're on the spectrum where it's kind of like, okay, I got some hot flushes, I'm a bit irritable, blah, 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 you know, what's to be expected. I think that there's not a huge amount of compassion, even with women, understanding women that get it a lot worse. Mm-hmm. And I think that there is a real lack of talking about it. And I think it's partly because the spectrum is so wide and because the number of symptoms is so wide. You know, like some people will, you know, like, okay, I've had some vaginal dryness, not fun, but can be rectified. And other people, like, they can't have penetrative sex anymore. And I think there's a lot of shame because, you know, you hear about your friends that are like menopausal and like that or post and they're still doing it. And I think that a lot of women, which I think is awesome, I think a lot of women really internalize that shame. And it's really interesting. It only ever comes out at very specific times that they will tell anybody. So I almost feel like there's this like secret code like with women that are like post-menopausal of like even like how they exchange some of this information. I think it would be so much easier if it was a lot more open. And you asked about HRT. I'm not allowed HRT because of my cancer, being a hormone cancer. And I'd heard about this place called a menopause clinic that was supposed to have like acupuncture and all this stuff. And so I said to the GP, like, you know, what is this mecca of place that might understand me, you know, at 36, I think I was 37 at the time, but 36 when I first went into it. And they were like, yeah, that's just for women that have HRT. And very much I felt like there's nothing that can be done for you and just go away, you know, like that's it. Like you can't, there's no point in having any symptoms. No one can do anything for you. So kind of be quiet. And, you know, I think a lot of it, that happens to a lot of women, actually. They're, you know, shamed into silence about it. So this is quite refreshing, having this conversation.
I do think there's something about that shame part, because when I first went into it, I don't know if there was anyone I talked to about it, because I think I talked to my friend Paige about it. And I did feel like that it was like a secret and that it was a bad thing and that there was something about it, because I think we attribute like beauty and all of those things to youth. Mm-hmm. And then I think we equate menopause with like old crone, right? And so if you, and I remember my therapist saying like, that must be really tricky for you because you are like biologically young, you look young, and your body is doing this other thing. So it must feel like a little kind of not right, doesn't feel quite right for you. And I was like, that's exactly, and my therapist is like a gay man, he's incredible. He's like, but imagine like you look like you're, you know, in your early 30s, but your body is saying, okay, you want to go to menopause, but you know, so that how do you deal with that, you know? And then I was like, oh, Gloria, I'm not old. I just don't have a period. Like I just had to tell myself, like, you just not having a period. And there are plenty of other things that you can do. And it doesn't have to mean like an end of sex or an end of feeling youthful, or it doesn't have to be like the recall of words and things like that, when they would just be like floating about. And I'd be like, I know there's a word for it and I can't remember what that is, and not stressing myself out if I had that, like couldn't recall. And I'd be like, oh, just relax, it'll come, you know? And that's what that was my system for myself. Just relax, just relax into it. It is what it is. Just relax into it. You know, you put lotion on your arms, you put lotion on your legs, you put cocoa butter. I use like cocoa oil. So I was like, you put cocoa oil on your arms and your legs, put it on your vagina and keep moving. You know, like the kind of things that I had to tell myself.
I did discover lots.
I don't know whether or not you should put coconut oil on your bread.
And like no medical advice is being given here is what that's your disclaimer.
I did discover lots of places that are actually really great to have hot flushes. I remember being in the shower and just like panicking. So I used to get like almost panic attack hot flushes. Like I'd feel like doom before I felt the heat. And I was in the shower and I was like, hold on a minute. There's something I can, cold. And just turned on the cold full blast. And I was like, this is heaven. And like climbing into the freezers in the supermarket. just hanging around, like head all the way in going, I'm really interested in this package. Like, I'm going to read all the packages in this, in this fridge. So yeah, you end up developing like some fun coping systems for it.
The masks right now are sometimes killing me with when the hot flash comes, and then I also have the mask on. In the days of the COVID, I'm just like, I feel like I'm having a panic attack too with all of that going on at the same time. So yeah. So yeah. So what do you, so advice, I mean, do we have any, do we ladies who have been through it have any advice for you girls that haven't?
You know,
I'm just a little bit jealous by how many options there are in period underwear now.
I've heard of
Oh
these
my
things.
God, the thinks and the, oh God, like sometimes I like hover, I really want to buy them because like my memory of who I was, that would have been so amazing. So like, yeah, I would really relish it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't miss anything about having a period at all for me. Like, but I had horrible cramps. Like, you remember my periods were like out of control. So for me, I'm like, that's fine. She don't want to come back. She don't have to come back. No.
Yeah, I remember you used to not be able to drive.
It would be like debilitating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't miss that either.
the takeaway for me is that it's a process, just like puberty is. And I would advise all of those things that you learned about puberty when you were young, see if you can figure out what those things are for this next big stage in your life. And like we say with kids and teenagers who are going through it, it's different for everybody. And you just have to figure out the stuff that works for you.
Yeah, I think I need my take. Like, I think ultimately, I think I will have to reframe it for myself. And it sounds like that's what you guys have done really well. And I don't know what that will look like for me, because I don't think it'll be the same as like you guys' reframe, but that maybe is the key, is finding the way to reframe it from your own perspective. And wild yams.
Yeah, I get for myself to be prepared to take care of your endocrine system, whether you've gone through it or not, before, during, or after. It will support the way that you feel and the way that you function the best you can. And we have nothing to feel ashamed about. I think that accepting where we are and who we are, again, is the joy of a lifetime. Not that that's a joyful ride per se, but it's also like, it is part of being a human being, especially a woman. And so just embrace it and accept it and own it. Like, I agree, having, the confidence to communicate it, if you please. We have, again, nothing to be ashamed about, only to embrace the pleasure of our womanhood and part of owning, like, we have more experience in other parts of our lives, right?
Beth and T, did you do your takeaways?
Yeah, my area got a little bit loud over here, so I'm muted. But it's for me, it's like, I'm still sort of in the middle of it. So I mean, I have good days of it and bad days of it, but I know, there's an end to it at some point. It's just another phase of life. Like every day I have a different phase of life that I'm in right now. So it's like, I say, do whatever you have to do to make yourself comfortable with it. If you can do HRT, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I have a great personal fan. I don't have it here with me today, but my friend Amy got it for me. It goes around my neck, and I have these cute little fans that blow up on my face. That's wonderful. Amazon. And so just do whatever you have to do to get through it. And I'm really glad to have you ladies to talk about it with, because I really don't think I've brought it up either, except to complain to T about it, because, she had been through it. And Glow, I didn't even know you had so early. So, yeah, talk to your friends about it. That's what I said.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I didn't know either about Glow, and I think talking is massive when it comes to this, absolutely massive. And also, like, if somebody doesn't quite respond in the right way, kind of holding on to, like, I remember having a really vicious hot flush, and I'm one of those people that was like, do I need this clothing? Yeah. So I would take off, and like I would for ages, like I couldn't wear like a sweater or anything like that. Everything had to be thin layers, you know, and you end up having lots of coping things, or you know, cold packs, or you know, there was times where it was really vicious and I would put a cold packet in my purse, like a little one, and when I was out I would slip it underneath my skirt between my thighs. It cools you right down, like really quick. So there's lots of like little things like that to do. But I remember being in a cancer center, and I was with my mom, and I started to like adjust everything, and you know, and she was like, "What are you doing? You can't do that." And I was like, "Bloody hell! If I can't do it here, where can I do that?" And it's like hanging on. Like even if somebody does make you feel like you're making a big thing out of nothing, actually, like no one else is in your body, and to echo what you said, it's different for everybody. You
And
know?
shame only lives in the secrets. So like I think being able to talk about it is like a thing that gives a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, everybody.